بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين. وفقنا للعمل بما يرضيك عنا وإلى غيرك لا تكلنا. افتح أقفال قلوبنا بذكرك وألهمنا شكرك واجعلنا من أهل معرفتك ولا تجعلنا من الغافلين، آمين. We are still covering the chapter of Ikhlas and Sidq, sincerity and truthfulness. So in the previous sessions, Ghazali covered sincerity in different dimensions. Today he will talk about Sidq, truthfulness, inshallah. So Ghazali is saying that الصدق هو كمال الإخلاص. So truthfulness is the pinnacle of sincerity, or the perfection of sincerity. Rahimahullah ta'ala. So you can see that Ghazali will focus now about Sidq. The link between Sidq and sincerity is very strong. This is why he talks about the two together under one chapter. Usually he talks about one thing at a time, but here he combined between two because they are very close. So Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala will take us as usual through details of Sidq. So rahimahullah, so he says قال الله تعالى من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه. Among the believers there are men who were truthful with Allah and fulfilled their covenant with him subhanahu wa ta'ala. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه. Of course the ayah talking about men, but it's not men like gender here, it's about humans. So they were truthful about what they promised to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the ayah is talking about being truthful. Yes. And when you read the tafsir of the ayah, it's beautiful, very beautiful ayah. Anas, the servant of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Anas bin Malik, he talks about the revelation of this ayah. So he will take us very quickly through what was the reason behind the revelation of this ayah. So he says, my uncle, Anas's uncle, his name is Anas as well, Anas ibn al-Nadr. Anas ibn al-Nadr, his uncle. So he says that his uncle, Anas ibn al-Nadr, for a certain reason, he could not make it to the battle of Badr, the first battle the Prophet ﷺ did in Medina. He couldn't do it. So he was so upset and so disheartened. Then he waited till another battle. And then Uhud came. Then he went to Rasulullah ﷺ and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I didn't go in the first battle, but I will go in this battle and Allah will see something that pleases him from me. And he promised that Allah will see something that pleases him from me. And then when the battle started, you know, without going to the details, Khalid al-Walid, after the companions disobeyed Rasulullah and they left the mountain, and then their back was exposed, and Khalid al-Walid took the advantage, and Rasulullah was on the mountain and he was about to be killed. So Anas ibn Nadr was in the battlefield. He saw that and he went like the lion. And on his way, he met Sa'd ibn al-Nadr, Sa'd bin Mu'adh on his way. So he met Sa'd bin Mu'adh and he said, "Oh Sa'd, it is Al-Jannah, O Sa'd. It's paradise, O Sa'd. By the Lord of An-Nadr, I can smell the fragrance of Jannah." And then he went so fast and he started fighting. And Sa'd bin Mu'adh later was telling Rasulullah, and he said, "Ya Rasulullah, he went and he fought in a way which I couldn't do. I couldn't follow him. I couldn't emulate him. I couldn't copy him. He was just fighting like 10 people together." And he said he was fighting until he passed away. And then after the battle finished, they, as usual, come back and bring the injured and the wounded and deceased and so on. So they couldn't recognize Sa'd, Anas ibn al-Nadr. They couldn't recognize him. They did found 80 injuries in him. Some of it from the sword, some of it from the spears, some of it from daggers, some of it from different things. They couldn't recognize him. The only one who could recognize him is his sister. His sister, she even could not recognize his face because the disbelievers, mushrikeen, they deformed him. So no one can recognize who he is. And until his sister recognized him from his finger. Then Anas bin Malik commented on that, and he said, "We believe in that this very ayah, min al-mu'minina rijalun sadaqu, among the believers there are men who are truthful in their promises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." He said, "We believe that this ayah was revealed in Anas ibn al-Nadr and the like of Anas ibn al-Nadr." SubhanAllah, Imam al-Ghazali quoted this ayah to show you that truthfulness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates you levels. And you can see Anas ibn al-Nadr, because of his truthfulness with Allah Azza wa Jal, he could smell the fragrance of Jannah before he's in Jannah. And because he was so truthful with Allah, Allah will definitely, inshallah ta'ala, give him what he's after. So this is the first ayah Imam al-Ghazali quoted, rahimahullah ta'ala. Then he quoted hadith, which is, again, well-known. We commented on this hadith many times in different occasions, different sessions. إن الرجل لا يصدق ويتحرى الصدق حتى يكتب عند الله صديقا. So he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, indeed a man or a woman will be truthful and strive for truthfulness until he is written as a Sidq, truthful person before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he will get the level of Siddiq, the top level, as we'll see later. Imam al-Ghazali will take us through these levels and ranks of truthfulness. Ibrahim alayhi salam, in the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. Mention Ibrahim in the book. إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. So he was truthful prophet. Siddiqan. Siddiqan is different than Sadiq, just to let you know for those who are studying Arabic. Siddiq is أفعل التفضيل. Sorry, not أفعل التفضيل. صيغة المبالغة. صيغة المبالغة, it's exaggeration form. Siddiq. Yes, it means he's doing something continuously in abundance. Or somebody who's doing that. So instead of writing a sentence and say X is doing something continuously in abundance. Yes, so we just say he is Siddiq, or he is Kadhab, which is the opposite of Siddiq. Yes, it means he's lying all the time in abundance. Yes, so you see these two. So Siddiq here is the highest rank which Allah has given to the prophets and messengers, and some non-prophets and messengers like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, like other companions. Not only in our ummah, as well in other ummahs with Musa, Isa, alayhim salam, and so on. Yeah. And Ghazali says, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, it's enough of a blessing that through truthfulness, through that you can reach the level of Siddiqeen. It's a great thing, but let's see how can we apply this and get this, inshallah ta'ala. Then Ghazali says, rahimahullah ta'ala, you should know that as-sidq has 6 ranks. Truthfulness has 6 ranks. Whoever reaches the level of perfection in all of them deserves the title of Siddiq. Here you go. So if you are wondering how to get there, here you go. Al-Ghazali is giving us the answer, and he is saying until you get all these 6 levels, you will not be Siddiq. And in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أولئك مع الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين. So he counted subhanahu wa ta'ala that a group of people, for their good deeds, they will be gathered on the day of judgment in Jannah with an-nabiyyin, the prophets, and as-siddiqeen. So straight after the prophets, you have the level of as-siddiqeen. And then ash-shuhada, the martyrs. And then the righteous, as-salihin. You see these levels: prophets, siddiqeen, shuhada, then salihin. So salihin, you want to go from bottom up: as-salihin, shuhada, siddiqeen, anbiya. So Ghazali is saying here that sidq, truthfulness, has 7 ranks. The first of these 6, الصدق في القول في جميع الأحوال. So to be truthful all the time. In everything. Regarding your past, your future, or the present. You should be always telling the truth. So as-sidq fil aqwal, telling the truth in everything you are saying, whether it's in the past, in the future, or in the present. You always tell the truth. Now, I know some of you might say, okay, we have some exceptions. Let's deal with exceptions as exceptions. Let's set the rule now, and then we can discuss the exceptions later, inshallah. So that's the first one. And under that, Ghazali is saying, under that, yes, it has two sections as well. Okay. Two sections. Section number one, which Ghazali called them perfection. Perfection number one, perfection number two. Perfection number one, to avoid something we call in Arabic al-ma'arid. To avoid ma'arid, it's not lying, because definitely it's totally the opposite of telling the truth. It's not lying, but it's saying something which possible to have two meanings. And you mean the meaning which is not straightforward. You mean something, for instance, I'll give you the example. If someone asked, where is X? And he was in the next room. So if you were to say, he's not here, and you use your hands and say, he's not here, you are not lying, but you are using ma'arid. Ma'arid, which is, it can carry more than one meaning. He's not here. Does it mean he's there? If you were to say, okay, is he in the house? Then if he said no, then he's lying. If he said yes, then he can't lie. Yes. But if he said he's not here, yes, and he's in the next room, then he's not lying. This is what Ghazali is saying. So avoid this, even if you want to be considered like among as-siddiqeen, those who tell the truth, then you should avoid al-ma'arid. Because this can be understood in a different way. So you say something and people will understand something else from it. Okay? Like when Rasulullah ﷺ was migrating from Mecca to Medina, and you know they were headhunting him, ﷺ. So they want to kill him. So he came across some people on their journey. So Abu Bakr is well known in the community more than Rasulullah, because he's so in and out and visiting different cities and different tribes and so on. So people know Abu Bakr more than Rasulullah. So they knew Abu Bakr. So they approached Abu Bakr and they said, who's this with you? And Abu Bakr, he can't say this is Rasulullah, because they would put them into troubles. So he says, he is a guide. Guide me, show me my way. He shows me my way, or the way, in fact. So they thought, yeah, he's, like a navigator. And they said, okay, they left. So Abu Bakr didn't lie, but he meant Rasulullah is showing him the way to Allah, the way to Jannah, the way to the Akhirah, and so on. So he's not lying. Yes, but this is an exception, as I said. So he said, be careful not to use this unless there is a need for that. And Ghazali is saying why? Because if you are continuously using this, then it will affect your heart. And this is like diversion from the truth. And your heart will be diverted from the truth, and you cannot receive the light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if your heart is diverted. Probably I told you this many times. Many of you did hear this from me. We used to have one of our friends, bless him. He was specialized in this area. You cannot tell if he's telling the truth or lying or not lying, actually, doing ma'arid. You can't tell. Everything he has two meanings. I didn't say this, I meant this, it's too much. And you hate talking to him sometimes, or probably many times, because you don't know if he's telling you. If you ask, where's Sheikh X? Sheikh X is, I don't know, well, and then it happened to be that he might be next to him, or somewhere very close to him, but he doesn't want to tell you. So he uses some technique, yes, ma'arid, not lying, with no need. To the extent it's disgusting. So we didn't, to be honest, resume our friendship. We are not enemies, but we were so close until we discovered this, and then we stopped this friendship for this very reason, because it rubs on you, and you feel the heaviness of that, and then you start using the same technique, because he was older than us, and then he can easily influence you. He's so charismatic. So we said, no, come on, we can't risk it. We won't continue this friendship. Alhamdulillah, anyway. So if there's a need for that, yes, as what happened with Rasulullah and Abu Bakr, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And in some scenarios like that, if there's a need, that's fine. This is an exit for you not to lie and to use ma'arid. That's an option on the table. Then the second thing, the second perfection of the first rank. So the first rank has two perfections, first and the second. The second here, he said, because he said to say the truth in everything, in the past, in the future, in the present, and so on. And here he said the first perfection is to avoid ma'arid, to use a word that carries more than one meaning, and then you mean something else than the obvious. Yes. The second thing here, he says, to be truthful regarding your statements to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, he'll give us an example. He said, for instance, if you said in your Salah, by the way, Imam Al-Ghazali, he's a Shafi'i scholar, top rank Shafi'i scholar, and he has a very huge book in the fiqh, in fiqh al-Shafi'i, 12 volumes in fiqh al-Shafi'i. And in the Shafi'i school, they rely on the narration in the Sunnah that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to open his Salah with this very supplication: وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِي لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ حَنِيفًا مُسْلِمًا وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي, etc. So when you are saying وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِي, I turn my face to He who originated the heavens and the earth. So he says you have to be truthful in your statement to Allah. So you have to have your heart in full attendance when you say وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِي. So in your heart should be nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, you are a liar, Ghazali is saying. So if there's something else other than Allah in your heart, when you are saying وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِي, then you are a liar. So how come you are saying to Allah, وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِي, I turn my face to you, and your face is not towards Him, your heart is not towards Him, your attention is not towards Him? Then definitely you are a liar. Yeah, I know it's heavy, yes. Yeah, but what he's doing He's disrespecting Allah Azza wa Jal and lying before Allah. Wow. And then he used another example, and both are in Salah, and you can replicate this and apply in other forms of ibadah and actions and so on. No, in fact, let's focus only on statements, because he's talking about what you say. Yes? He says, when you say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, you alone we worship, and from you alone we seek help. When you say this, you have to mean it. If you just said this and you don't mean it, your heart is not present, your heart is not focused on what you are saying. Yes? إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. So you are the servant of Allah. You are worshipping Allah. So Ghazali says, if you were saying that and you don't worship Allah, you worship dunya, you worship yourself, you worship money, then you cannot achieve truthfulness, if that's the case on the day of judgment. When you say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, and on the day of judgment, you cannot achieve this, because in the dunya you were negligent of that, you were absent-minded of that, you were just robotically saying this. Of course, I'm paraphrasing Ghazali. And then he quoted the hadith from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is in Tirmidhi and others. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Ta'isa abdul dinari, ta'isa abdul dirham." Perished is the servant of dinar and dirham. The currencies, dirham and dinar, were the currency at that time, like pounds and dollars and what have you. So he's saying, yes, if you are saying إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship, and don't worship money and dunya. Don't lie. Then the second rank, Ghazali is saying here, he finished the first rank. I know every rank needs more clarity, but trying our best. The second rank, Ghazali is saying here, it's in your intention. Is in the intention. Meaning that the motivation, in Arabic, what drives you to do something, the motivation to good, is purified within it. If there's something mixed with it, so you missed some of the truthfulness. So the more you have mixed elements with your intention, the more you lose the truthfulness. So it's up to you. So for instance, you have pure yogurt, or you mix yogurt with honey, then you feel the sweetness of the honey in the yogurt. Or you put chili with it, then the more you put stuff, the more you lose the original taste of it. Just an example. Ghazali didn't say this, so I'm just trying to put some easy examples to understand. It's like this. When you have pure intention, you do not want to mix anything with it, because it ruins the taste. It changes the taste. Yes? it changes the purity of the intention. The third level, Al-Ghazali here, is talking about Al-Azm. Al-Azm, which is in the resolve. So indeed, a servant may resolve to give charity if he's provided with wealth. So he has determination that if I've been given wealth, if I've been wealthy, I will pay this money. I will be charitable. I will be spending for goodness and helping needy and this and that, knowledge seekers, and you name it. And I will be serving justice and being fair and just if I've been given the authority in a certain position. So sometimes his resolve is weak and hesitant, and sometimes it's very strong and confident and no hesitation. So the strong and the confident resolve, we call it truthful resolve, Azm Sadiq. So he's very truthful. And he gave an example about Umar radiallahu anhu in a long hadith, but he just took part of this very hadith. The hadith talks about taking the bay'ah for Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. After the death of Rasulullah sallallahu, we have some disagreement among the companions whom to appoint as the Khalifa and so on. Cut a long story short, they appointed Abu Bakr. In that process, some suggested to appoint Umar. Then Umar commented, he says, it's more beloved to me to come forward and my neck will be chopped than to lead you, and under me is Abu Bakr. Look at this. And he means it. He means it. Umar, he means what he says. We know from his biography, from his seerah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was a man of the truth radiallahu ta'ala. So he said he's not just faking things up. He's not just saying things just to get, things sorted. No, he means what he said. And you remember we did talk about in the previous sessions, we did talk about different people with different intentions. So someone says, if I were to be given money, I will do this. If I were to be given knowledge, I will I'll do that. And depends of his resolve, his intention, the purity, and the rest of it. So if he was really sincere about this, and he is not hesitant, then without doubt, he will be rewarded for his intention. If it's strong intention and not hesitant intention. And by the way, probably he will talk about this later. Let me see. Yeah, he will talk about this later. Level 4, or the fourth rank, as Ghazali called it, الصدق الرابع, the fourth truthfulness, في الوفاء, in fulfilling of a resolution. الوفاء بالعزم. And you have this resolve, yes, how to fulfill it. This is the big test. Yes, you promised Allah that I will do this, da, da, da. Okay, Allah gave you what you are after. Show me. So you will be generous in your resolve and say, I will do this, I will do that. Just, Ya Allah, give it to me, and you will see what I'll do. And then Allah will give it to you. And Allah will say to you, show me what you promised me. So the fulfillment, yes, of your promise or this resolve or resolution is the test. Ghazali is saying, rahimahullah ta'ala, it's easy to have determination and resolve and say, I will do this for certain and for sure. But when you get it, this is where the real test is. And then he quoted again the ayah, مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدْقُوا, among the believers are men who were truthful with their promises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. And some of them, they did not fulfill their promises to Allah. As he quoted another ayah afterwards, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ عَاهَدَ اللَّهِ. So the other ayah which Ghazali quoted, rahimahullah, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ عَاهَدَ اللَّهِ, in Surah At-Tawbah, verse 75, 76, 77. Yeah. So among them are those who promise Allah, if He gives us of His bounty, we will donate and be among the upright or the righteous. Okay. Allah did give them what they are after. فَلَمَّا آتَاهُم مِّن فَضْلِهِ. But when He has given them of His bounty, yes, what happened? Where is this resolve and resolution and determination and what have you? Listen. فَلَمَّا آتَاهُم مِّن فَضْلِهِ بَخِلُوا بِهِ. When He has given them of His bounty, yes, they became stingy with it and turned away in aversion. Wow. فَعَقَبَهُمْ نِفَاقًا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ. So they were penalized with hypocrisy in their hearts until the day they face Him, because they broke their promise to Allah and because they used to lie. See? Ghazali is just showing us how things can go wrong. Yes? And subhanAllah, that we have a colloquial proverb says, those who speak a lot do nothing. Which is very true. Many times, not always, but many times it's true. I will do this, I'll do that. Then when things come to him or her, nothing. They'll do nothing. And you see some people, they say nothing and they do a lot. Probably in English you say action speaks louder than words. Yes, it's the Arabic is the opposite. Yes. So we need to be very careful on that. Rank number 5. Is in deeds. So he talks first, the first 4, he's talking about verbal commitment, this, that, and the other, all about verbal, yes, words and so on, statements and promises and the like of it. Here, he's talking about actions. Like, a person does not indicate anything about his inner self unless his inner self is attributed with it. And he gives us some examples. So he's saying that the inward and the outward are compliant, are the same. So someone is walking calmly, indicates, based on this principle, that he is dignified internally. Yes, but it might not be the case. He might be acting, showing people something in his actions, not his words, in his actions, that he's walking with calmness to show that he's a dignified person. But deep down, he's not. Similarly, someone is in his Salah, this is my addition, in his Salah showing that he's khashia and so on, and in reality, he's not khashia. He's not attentive in his Salah. He's just seeking fame and seeking attention. So it's the inward and the outward, to be the conformity of the inward and the outward. So if he's fooling people and cheating on people, i.e. showing them something which he's not, then he's cheating. Or he's using riya, which in English probably you call it ostentation. So this is riya, yes? Showing something and having something else in your inner reality. And can be nifaq as well. And this is why Rasulullah in his dua, Allahumma ja'al sarirati khayran min alaniyati, waj'al alaniyati salihah. So in his dua, alayhi salatu wassalam, he is saying, oh Allah, make my inner secret better than what is open about me, and make what is open about me righteous. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's the conformity of the inward, the outward. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He's teaching us, of course, he was the best of Allah's creation in character, in actions and deeds and what have you. It's a lesson for us to learn from him, alayhi salatu wassalam. And then he has given another example. He said, you might walk with calmness, and people think that you have dignity and you are doing this because you are a dignified person and so on. But in your heart, you are not paying any attention to the people, actually. So would this be riya, ostentation? No. What is it then? It's ghafla. He might be a person of ghafla. Yes? And this will make you lose truthfulness. Ghafla. If you're doing things with no intention, ghafla is just controlling you. Then you lose the truthfulness in your intention. And it's been narrated that Al-Hasan al-Basri is one of the masters of the tabi'een, the successors of the companions. Al-Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to, if he commanded people to do something, he used to do it first. And he will be the most person who's doing this before he commands people to do it. And if he's asking people to refrain from doing something, he will be the most of people who's doing this. And it's been said that they have never seen somebody his inward is similar to his outward, like Al-Hasan al-Basri. Radiyallahu ta'ala. He is one of the righteous successes. Radiallahu anhu. His biography, by the way, is very beautiful. You read his biography, Hassan al-Basri. So this is number 5. Number 6, Ghazali is saying, and it is the highest rank. Number 6 is the highest rank, or loftiest, he called it, if you want. It's the loftiest of the doors of truthfulness in the stations of religion, because he called truthfulness as a station, maqam, and this is an expression Sufi use all the time. Like you have the station of khawf, which we did talk about in the previous sessions. Al-raja, hope. Al-rida, contentment. And then tawakkul later. After this session, inshallah, Ghazali will cover tawakkul. Then Ghazali finished this chapter by saying, so these are the ranks of Sidq, truthfulness. So whoever realizes all of them is one of the Siddiqeen. And whoever attains only some of them, his rank is in accordance to what he achieved. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among as-siddiqeen and give us pure intention, inshallah ta'ala, in everything we say and do. Ameen. Let me pause here. Inshallah, next session, if we were alive, we'll talk about at-tawakkul. Ghazali will cover at-tawakkul, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. As usual, Ghazali has set the bar very, very high. And I guess it had to be high if the level of the Siddiqeen are the ones who will be closest to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So if we have any questions, please put them on the chat or raise your hands. Sheikh, I think according to this, what he said about Salah, I think all of us should be doing Tawbah right now, shouldn't we?
Yeah, who told you that Ghazali didn't say this? He did in some areas, in some chapters. He did say something along these lines. That and even I remember this from one of our teachers. He used to say that our Salah needs istighfar all the time. If our Salah needs istighfar, what about our actions? The other actions which not Salah. We need repentance and istighfar all the time.
I think you gave the example of the dead body, Salah, that's the dead body as well previously.
And the actions, as Imam Ibn Ata'illah Secondary, he says the actions are lifeless forms. And the spirit that brings life is the intention and Ikhlas. So when you have Ikhlas, then the body will be given life. The actions will be lively actions if you have Ikhlas in it. Otherwise, it will be dead, just like that body, no life in it.
And to connect you to what you said in the tafsir class yesterday about Salah being a cave, I think that's a very helpful visualization to shut out distractions and focus on Salah.
Yes, exactly. This is why, if you want, Salatul Layl is much better than Salatul Nahar. So the night prayer is more effective than the day prayer. Of course, all Salah is effective, but because usually during the night, as Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in many narrations, he says if they were to know what is in the reward of the night prayer, they will have stayed all night just waiting for this reward, or something along these lines, alayhi, because no distractions. Your senses are not distracted, neither your ears nor your sight distracted with anything, because you have darkness and calmness and quietness. And this, like the cave, yeah, you shut everything that distracts you, and you have full attention. Your heart, your senses are focused in your ibadah, and this is the beauty of it. And you can do that with some training. You can do that during the day as well.
That's very helpful. Jazakumullah khairan. Sheikh, you mentioned that Ghazali was a great faqih.
Of course, an usuli, not only faqih and usuli and theologian and philosopher, and you name it. He was multi-talented, rahimahullah ta'ala. Except rahimahullah, except in hadith.
But how can a faqih not have a grip on hadith, because you use hadith to derive the fiqh?
Yes, he uses the hadith, but he's not a master in hadith, rahimahullah. So he follows the hadith that been used in the fiqh books as the common thing actually among the scholars. They use the hadith that been used in the fiqh books, like he uses the hadith of Imam Shafi'i in his books, and his followers and so on and so forth.
Okay. So there's a question asking for a recap on the visualization, but I think we'll have that in the blog and also the video. You can rewatch, inshallah, to cover that point again. Do we have any other questions? We have two unrelated questions, Sheikh. We have one on wudu. For someone who's just come out of hospital and has to wear the stockings that you have to wear post-operation for 3 days, so they can't be removed, and they didn't have wudu before they put them on. Should they do wudu and then just leave the feet out, or what should they do? Or should they do tayammum?
If they can wash the rest of the limbs of wudu, then they should wash it without harming themselves. And regarding the feet, is it a definite no? They can't take it off? If it's a definite no, then the available thing is doing masah.
Okay. So do the rest of the wudu and then masah on the portions that they can't reach.
In one condition, if it's not
removal.
possible to take it off.
Okay. Also, Sheikh, another question is: Do you have to pray Salah during labor?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Who will be focused during labor to do Salah?
In fact,
He's nearly dying during her labor.
So there's another question, Sheikh, about someone who's post-operative and they're saying they can't focus on their Salah, and they're not even sure that they've said the right words. So should they, in that situation, preferable not to make Salah or make Salah?
We answered this indirectly the other day, that if you feel bored from Salah, then you should rejuvenate yourself with something else that makes you energized back into your Salah with full concentration. So it might be a walk in the park, it might be taking a shower, it might be calling somebody, talking to your mom, or I don't know what. Then this will just give you your full concentration. Then do that. Don't pray unless if it was at the end of the Salah time. Then postpone it until you are focused.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, can I chip in on this, please?
Please go ahead.
Because it's Jazakallah here, Aisha. It's about me having had surgery yesterday, and those stockings indeed were TED stockings to prevent thrombosis. So what I tried to do, firstly, I could hardly move because of I was bombed on morphine and tramadol and I couldn't stand. So that's why I took my stone in and did tayammum rather than not do my Salah, because I intended so much not to miss Salah, but I could barely stand and I couldn't.
That's a valid option.
So this morning, because I didn't know, as Aisha said, we confided, that I didn't know what I prayed. I did know what I prayed, but I can't remember if I did all the rakas. So after Fajr, I redid the rakas because even though I did tayammum, I forgot to do my face. I just did the hands and arms. I forgot the face. I mean, I was so spaced out. It was unbelievable. So now I've come to a friend and I discovered that I can do wudu completely because I stretched the stocking, which has an opening, onto the ankle, and I can do it. But I was incapable of doing that yesterday. I would have toppled over and fractured my hip, perhaps. So that would have been silly.
Yes, of course. No, that's fine. You've done your best.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair, Aisha, as well.
And then just to clarify on the labor question again, the clarification is that if the labor is going on for many hours, then you don't pray for that long. Some labors go on for 12 hours.
She's impure in that situation, is she?
Okay, that's the answer. Then we have another question, Sheikh, which is that Imam Ghazali left his position and became a recluse for 10 years. Why was that? And was that when he wrote his best pieces?
I did say in a couple of occasions, read Al-Munqidh min al-Dalal for Imam al-Ghazali. Imam al-Ghazali, he has this. Remind me, Aisha, I'll send you the link, or you can find it easily online. The deliverance from delusion or error or something along these lines, depends on the translation. It's a short booklet. It's not a big book, actually. The last chapter, Ghazali talks about tasawwuf and his journey through tasawwuf and his experience of 11 years almost isolation from people, and he explains in details in his own words why he did that.
Okay, that would be great. We look forward to that. I think inshallah we'll share that. And then the last question, Sheikh, sorry, unrelated again. Just to clarify, you've previously mentioned about insurances and mortgages and that they're not permissible. Not mortgages, insurances. So just to clarify on income protection and products which protect your mortgage, they would fall under that same category?
I think the new products now, the mortgage products now, it's incumbent. It's part and parcel of the product. You cannot escape it. It was optional in the old days, but I've been told that this is now part of the new products. If that's the case, it's like car insurance and you can't avoid it.
Okay. And income protection?
To repay your mortgage, you mean?
No, just I think generally income protection.
Income protection, no, it's unless you have an Islamic product, which I doubt at the moment. We don't have anything like that. So
I think sorry, it's related to buying the house, the income protection and the life insurance. I think you're right, it is incumbent, isn't it?
Yes, but life insurance, I'm not sure yet if it's incumbent. The income protection, yes, it is. But life insurance, I'm not sure.
It is in France, so it will come here, I'm sure. You can't buy a house in France without life insurance.
Okay, so if you are living in France, then this is the way it is. If there's no other alternatives, of course, if you have other alternatives, then you go to the Islamic alternatives if it's available.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. Sheikh, by the way, when you mentioned that, you mentioned that beautiful scene about the story about Anas bin another, and just wondering, the enemy dead, were they buried after the battle? What happened to their corpses?
They throw them in the well.
Because that's what you said about after the Battle of Badr, the dua that when the Prophet ﷺ spoke to them. So I was wondering,
But definitely the believers that they have been buried, of course.
Okay.
The believers who passed away, the Rasulullah ﷺ did bury them, of course, and al-Baqiyah.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. Another amazing session.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. اغفر لنا وارحمنا وسامحنا وعافنا واعف عنا. هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين. اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمشايخنا ولأزواجنا وأحبابنا والمسلمين وذرياتنا ومن علمنا ومن له حق علينا. وصلي وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. آمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.